Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to Heisman Talk, your number one source of college football news on YouTube. I'm Nate Dogg here with my co-host Devonair D. Jackson to break down another episode of Cover 5, our Heismans of Week 10. D, another great weekend of college football. A lot of upsets. College football is starting to really churn its way in November, and we've got some playmakers to give a shout out to. So D, let's start off with your number one Heisman of Week 10. Who is your first Heisman of the week?
Yeah, Nate, like you said, man, great football. My first Heisman of the week is going to be TCU quarterback Chandler Morris. This guy is a redshirt freshman. He's a transfer from Oklahoma, the son of former Arkansas and SMU coach Chad Morris. And man, this guy came in and he just flat out balled against a top 12 ranked Baylor team. He had 461 yards passing. He was 29 of 41 with 2 touchdowns, and he added 70 yards on the ground and, on 11 carries and a touchdown. So, this guy's an athletic quarterback that was, slinging the ball around the yard. And, I had to give him props, man. He's definitely my number one Heisman of the week, my first Heisman of the week.
Yeah, D, you almost wonder if Baylor was overlooking that game as they look ahead to Oklahoma this next Saturday. That's going to be a big matchup. You're going to be there at that game for our game of the week. But yeah, shout out to Chandler Morris. What a great performance to really step up for the Horned Frogs. I think they were even without, if I'm not wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, they were without their star running back, Zach Evans, for that game too. So no one was expecting TCU to even have a chance. So the fact that Chandler Morris stepped up for them and beat a top team like Baylor, who we expected to win out the rest of the year, with the exception of maybe Oklahoma. Shout out to Chandler Morris for sure. So, D, I'm going to give a little bit of love to the group of 5. I'm going to go with running back DeWayne McBride of UAB. I couldn't pass on this guy, D. The Blazers beat Louisiana Tech University 52-38, and McBride played a huge part in this. He rushed for 210 yards on 14 carries and 4 touchdowns. My goodness, what a performance. And you know what? We talked about this team behind me earlier, UTSA. UAB playing them coming up on November 20th. That's going to be a great matchup. So congratulations to DeWayne McBride for being my first Heisman of the week. D, who is your number 2 Heisman of the week?
Yeah, man. I'm sticking with the same theme of, guys coming in or teams coming in and upsetting another team, man. This guy was on a team that upset a top 10 team. My number 2 Heisman is UNC running back Ty Chandler. He's also a transfer. He transferred from Tennessee. He's a senior. This guy balled out, man. He had 22 carries for 213 yards and one touchdown. He also had a reception for 30 yards. He broke a long run there. It was a long 50-yard run with a minute 12 left, to basically put Wake Forest, out of their misery, man. And, he's just a powerful running back that just breaks through arm tackles. You can really, really see who's a good running back if they're, able to break the first tackle and the second tackle, and they're just breaking through arm tackles. And, that's what he does. And so, he did an exceptional job this week and helped the North Carolina team beat a top Wake Forest team. So, Ty Chandler is definitely my second Heisman of the week.
D, Ty Chandler was one of those guys that you and I had discussed coming into the season, someone we thought was really going to make an impact for the Tar Heels with the departure of such a great offense. Last year, they lost so many guys. This was a guy who could really step in with veteran experience in college football and make some plays. And I think, he's had a great season. It's been overlooked by the lack of defense for the Tar Heels. Then they come into this game and they get a huge win. Might I mention they were down by 18 points and they came back and won this game. So, yes, shout out to Ty Chandler and shout out to the Tar Heels for such a great, big ACC win against Wake Forest this weekend. D, I think I'm going to surprise a lot of people with my second Heisman of the week, and that is going to be quarterback Graham Mertz of the Wisconsin Badgers. This is a guy that we actually put down a lot early in the season. But, D, let me tell you what. This is a guy who's figuring it out finally. Wisconsin shuts down Rutgers 52-3. Mertz finished 11 of 16, 240 yards and 3 touchdowns, 1 INT. But, look, this is a team that we knew their defense was going to be great from the beginning. Defense hasn't missed a beat, but we've been looking so heavily for that Badgers offense to get going, and guess what? They're clicking now. They've won 5 straight, and if they win out, D, this Big Ten championship is actually going to be a better game than I think most of us expected early on in the season. I want to get your opinions on it.
I don't know, man. He's gonna have to show me, him playing against, better teams. I think Rutgers is a really, really good team, but not a really, really good team. They're a decent team, but he's gonna, Graham Mertz, from what he showed at the beginning of the year, he's definitely gonna have to show me more, because in order to beat a team like Ohio State or Michigan or even, Michigan State, you're gonna have to play really well as a quarterback, because they're not gonna let you just run the football up and down the field. So yeah.
Absolutely. But for the time being, shout out to Graham Mertz. Great performance, great win. And we shall see moving forward. It won't be long till we get to see how this plays out in the Big Ten West and the Big Ten championship game. So, D, staying in the Big Ten, we go to our team of the week, our Heisman team of the week. And, D, we anonymously decided to go with the Purdue Boilermakers. This was a no-brainer as for one, they already beat the number 2 team in the nation a few weeks ago in Iowa. Then they come in at home and beat the number 3 Michigan State Spartans 40-29. And, they manhandled them. D, what are your takes on our team of the week?
Man, they are the Purdue Boilermakers, man. But in all honesty, man, they're spoiling people's seasons. So you might want to call them the spoil makers, man, because they're just flat out spoiling people's seasons. So, like you said, they spoiled Iowa's season with beating them, and then they came in and beat a top, 4 ranked Michigan State, man. Michigan State, had just been ranked in the college football playoff at number 3, and they came in and beat them. And so, it was a huge game, a huge outing from a guy who's playing really, really well lately, and quarterback Aiden O'Connell. We could talk about his stats: 40 for 54, 536 yards and 3 touchdowns, flat out ridiculous. We could talk about the guy he was throwing to the most, his favorite target, in David Bell, who had 11 receptions and 217 yards and a touchdown. But these guys are really efficient, man. They, were 11 for 18 on 3rd down, and they had the ball for the majority of the game. They had the ball 35 minutes compared to Michigan State's 24 minutes. So when you do that, you can beat a good team in Michigan State. Michigan State's a good team, but Purdue played really, really well. And we talked about this being a letdown game for Michigan State possibly. And even though we picked Michigan State, it was a letdown game for them. So congrats to Purdue, man. They played great.
Yeah, D, people will talk about Aiden O'Connell. They'll talk about David Bell. Maybe even talk about how the defense forced 2 turnovers, 1 interception, 1 fumble recovery. But I want to give a shout-out to one guy in particular that no one's probably going to give love to, and that's their kicker, Mitchell Feinran. If I pronounced that right, I apologize if I didn't. But, D, 4 for 4 on field goals, 4 for 4 on extra points, 16 total points in this game. That's a difference maker. We see so many games come down to the kicking game where guys don't finish. We saw Mississippi State's kicker miss 2 or 3, right? And they lose to Arkansas. And I think these guys get overlooked a lot. So, yeah, I'm going to give a shout-out to their kicker, Mitchell Feinran. 4 for 4, field goals made, 4 for 4, extra points. He was the difference maker in this game. And, yeah, like you said, shout-out to Purdue. They've got a big game this week against Ohio State, and you best believe we'll be picking that game. So, D, I guess that wraps things up for today. When we come back next week, when we come back tomorrow, we're going to discuss and predict our Week 11 pick'ems that you will not want to miss out on. So make sure you're subscribed down below. If you haven't already subscribed, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up. Make sure you share it with your friends. And most importantly, make sure that bell notification is turned on so you can stay up to date when we post our latest video. As always, this is Nate Dogg and D signing off.